I lost my wife last January, 41 years of marriage, and then one Tuesday afternoon, she was gone. And in the weeks after that, while I was still trying to remember which days the trash went out, I nearly made every mistake I'm about to tell you not to make. I almost sold the house. I almost answered a phone call that would have cost me $83,000. And I stopped eating real food for almost a month, just crackers and coffee and whatever was in a can. And I could feel myself going down a road that doesn't come back. Here is what nobody tells a man when he buries his wife. The year that comes next is the most dangerous year of your life. Not a war, not a work site, this. A man who loses his wife is up to 70% more likely to be dead himself inside 12 months. And it is not the grief that does it. It's 5 mistakes he makes in the fog while 3 vultures are circling. A scammer who'll take $83,000. A realtor who'll rush him into selling the house for a song. And the loneliness that finishes what the other 2 started. Today I'm going to walk you through all 5. Mistakes, what they cost in real dollars and real years, and exactly how to get through the first year alive with your house, your money, and yourself still in one piece. The 5 things that'll take you down, and the plain system that kept me standing. My name's Earl. I've buried too many friends who didn't make it through that first year, and I nearly didn't make it through myself. If you know a man who just lost his wife, or if that man is you, tap subscribe right now. Because every one of these mistakes has a price tag on it, and the price goes up the longer you wait to hear it. Let me start with why that year is so dangerous. Because once you see the numbers, you'll understand why. I'm not being dramatic. They call it the widowhood effect. And it's been studied since 1969, when a British medical journal published a paper called Broken Heart that tracked nearly 5,000 widowers over 9 years. Men who lost their wives died at a rate 40% higher than married men of the same age in the first 6 months. A 2008 NIH study, 370,000 elderly couples, found that in the first 3 months after a spouse dies, the surviving partner's chance of dying jumps between 30 and 90% higher than normal. And a meta-analysis in PLOS One found that the risk is statistically significant for men and not for women. The widowhood effect is real, it is measurable, and it hits men harder than it hits women by a wide margin. The first year is the dangerous one. Remember that, because I'm going to say it again before we're done. Now let me show you the 5 mistakes. Mistake number 1, do not sell the house. This is the first thing a man thinks about, and it is the worst thing he can do in the first year. The house is too big. The mortgage is paid off. Every room has her in it. And some cousin or some well-meaning friend says, you ought to downsize, get something smaller, get a fresh start. And in the fog, it sounds like the right move. It is not. Grief is the worst negotiator who ever lived. A man in grief will take the first offer, skip the inspection, sign at the wrong time of year, and walk away from $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 he'll never get back. Financial advisors, the honest ones, say the same thing across the board. Do not make any major financial decision for 6 to 12 months after a death. Your judgment is impaired. You don't know it, but it is. And here's the part with real money attached to it. When your wife was alive and you owned the house together, you could sell it and exclude up to $500,000 in capital gains from your taxes. That is a married couple exclusion under the IRS. $500,000. The day she dies, a clock starts. You have 2 years from the date of her death to sell that house and still claim the full $500,000 exclusion as a surviving spouse. Miss that window and your exclusion drops to $250,000. On a house you bought 30 years ago for $80,000 that's now worth $400,000. The one missed window can cost you tens of thousands in taxes you didn't owe. So you've got 2 rules working against each other. Don't sell too soon because the grief will cost you on the price. And don't sell too late because the taxman will cost you on the gains. The answer is simple. Wait 6 months to a year. Talk to a CPA. Sell in year 2 if you're going to sell. Not in the fog, not in the first winter alone. Mistake number 2, do not answer that phone. 48 hours after a funeral, the phone starts ringing. And it is not all casserole, people. Obituaries are public. Death records are public. And there is an entire industry built on calling, mailing, and emailing newly widowed people, especially men, with offers that sound like help and smell like money. Seniors lost $4.9 billion to fraud in 2024, according to the FBI. That is not a typo, $4.9 billion. The average loss per victim was $83,000, and the fastest growing categories were investment scams and romance scams. A romance scam does not look like what you think. It's not a stranger asking for a wire transfer. It starts on Facebook or on a grief support forum or in a church chat group. A kind woman sends a message. She lost her husband too. She understands. The conversations are warm and real, and she never asks for money until she does. And by then you're in so deep you can't believe you've been conned, so you send more. 74% of romance scam targets are over 55. 56% are men. The Department of Homeland Security says, recently, widowed seniors are the single most targeted group because they have cash, they have a house, and they have a hole where a person used to be. Do not answer calls from numbers you don't know. Do not respond to strangers online. And for the first year, I'm going to say something hard here. Do not make any new financial friendships, not one. The vultures can smell lonely from a mile away, and a man who just buried his wife is the easiest mark on earth. Mistake number 3, do not stop cooking. This is the one nobody talks about, and it's the one that took down more men I know than any scam or bad real estate deal. When Ruth was alive, she cooked. I won't pretend otherwise. I could boil water and fry an egg and burn toast in a way that impressed nobody, and that was about the whole of my kitchen skills. Ruth used to say I could ruin cereal if I tried hard enough. When she was gone, I ate crackers and canned soup for 3 weeks straight and called it supper. Then I stopped eating supper and started eating whatever was in arm's reach whenever I remembered to. And I could feel it in my legs first, that heavy, weak feeling, like the stairs got steeper. When a man stops cooking for himself, he has usually stopped doing a lot more than that. He stops shopping. He stops moving through the kitchen and the house with any kind of purpose. The nutrition goes first, then the weight, one direction or the other, then the energy, then the hygiene, and then one morning, his daughter drives up and finds him sitting in a bathrobe at 2 in the afternoon, and the process of losing him has already started. The road ends at a nursing home, and a semi-private room in a nursing home costs $115,000 a year in this country as of 2025. A private room is $131,000. That is where the dinner time collapse leads if nobody catches it. You do not have to cook well. You have to cook once a day, a real meal with actual food on an actual plate. Scrambled eggs count, a baked potato counts, a piece of fish in a pan with butter and salt counts. The cooking is not about the food. The cooking is about standing up, doing a task with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and sitting down to eat it like a human being. That's the whole trick, and it will keep you off the road to that $131,000 room. Mistake number 4, do not close the door. In most marriages, the wife is the social infrastructure. She keeps the friendships, she makes the phone calls, she arranges the dinners and the church suppers and the visits with the neighbors. Most of us couldn't name our own doctor's phone number without checking her handwriting on the fridge. When she dies, a man's social world does not shrink, it collapses. Women who lose husbands tend to lean on existing friendships and build new ones. A study from KFF Health News found that men do the opposite. They withdraw, and they withdraw fast. 5 million older men in this country live alone. For men, living alone more than doubles the risk of death. A Dutch study found a hazard ratio of 2.4, meaning a man alone is 2.5 times more likely to die than a man living with someone. Loneliness increases the risk of dementia by 50%, and it is not the kind of thing that announces itself. A lonely man does not know he's dying of it. He just gets quieter. Here is my honest confession. After Ruth died, I didn't answer the phone for almost 2 months. People called, good people, neighbors, church folks, her friends who were trying to check on me, and I let it ring. I told myself I wanted privacy. What I wanted was to sit in the quiet and disappear. And I know that sounds like something a man isn't supposed to say out loud, but I'm saying it because the men who don't say it are the ones I buried. Mistake number 5, do not lose the reason to get up. Every man I know who didn't make it through the first year had one thing in common. They stopped having a reason to open their eyes in the morning. The alarm clock quit because there was nobody to have breakfast with. The schedule dissolved because she was the one who kept it. The doctor's appointments stopped because she was the one who made them. And within 3 months, right in that 66% window Harvard identified, they were gone. This is where the widowhood effect lives, not in the grief, in the empty morning, in the alarm that doesn't ring, in the day that has no shape. Now let me tell you what kept me alive, because it is not complicated and it is not expensive, and you can start it tomorrow morning. I call it the 5 a day, and I stole it from a doctor at the VA who told me the same thing he told every widower who walked through his door. 1 real meal a day. Cooked, not unwrapped. One human being a day, a phone call, a visit, a conversation at the hardware store, anything with another voice in it. One task a day, mow a strip of lawn, clean one shelf, fix the drip in the bathroom faucet. One outside a day, even if it's just sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching the birds. And one appointment kept a day, the pills, the blood pressure, the dentist, whatever she used to schedule for you, you schedule for yourself now. That's 5 things. None of them cost money. None of them require energy you don't have. And on the bad days, and there will be bad days, I promise you that, you do 3 of the 5, and you call it a win. The bar is low because it has to be. A man in grief cannot climb a high bar. He can step over a low one, and stepping over it every day is what gets him to the other side. My friend Walt lost his Marie in the spring and was gone himself by Christmas. Nothing was wrong with his heart. The doctor said so at the physical she'd made him get in February. Walt was healthy. But after Marie died, Walt did every one of these 5 things wrong. He put the house on the market in April, took $20,000 less than it was worth because he couldn't stand to negotiate. He started talking to a woman on Facebook who turned out to be a 26-year-old man in Lagos. He stopped cooking, stopped answering calls, and stopped going to church, which was the only place he ever saw other people. By October, his son found him in a condition I won't describe. By December, he was in a home. By Christmas, he was gone. The home cost his family $9,000 a month for the 11 weeks he was in it. Total bill came to about $25,000 for a man who had a paid-off house and a full pension and could have lived another 15 years. The first year is the dangerous one. Walt didn't know that, and nobody told him. You know what's strange is that this used to be a problem nobody had to solve alone. Go back 100 years, go back 50 even, and a widower wasn't sitting in an empty house staring at a phone that didn't ring. He was living in a house with his grown children, or his married daughter was down the road, or his church had him at somebody's table 3 nights a week, whether he liked it or not. My mother's father lost his wife in 1947 and moved into my grandmother's spare bedroom the same month. Nobody asked him, nobody gave him a choice. The family just absorbed him the way families did, and he lived another 19 years and never ate a meal alone until the last one. That infrastructure is mostly gone now. The kids live in Phoenix. The church meets twice a month instead of twice a week. The neighbors don't knock because they don't want to intrude. And 5 million older men sit in 5 million quiet houses, and nobody comes by because everybody assumes somebody else is coming by. The old system wasn't perfect. Nobody wants to move in with their daughter's family at 70. But it solved the one problem that kills men, which is the silence. We tore that system down and didn't replace it with anything. And then we act surprised when the widowhood effect shows up in the data like it just got invented. It didn't. We just stopped preventing it. Let me be honest with you about what this does and doesn't do, because I'm not selling you a miracle. This doesn't fix the grief. The grief is supposed to be there. It means the marriage was real, and the love was real, and the loss is real. And any man who tells you he got over losing his wife in 6 months is either lying or didn't love her much. The grief comes in waves, big ones at first, smaller ones later. And then years from now, a song will come on in the grocery store, and it'll knock you down again for 20 minutes. That's not a problem. That's a life with somebody in it. What the 5 a day fixes is the 5 things that take a man down while the grief has him on the floor. It keeps the house in his name, the money in his account, the food in his stomach, the people in his life, and a reason to get up tomorrow. That's the scope, nothing more and nothing less. And I need to say this plainly. If the sadness gets so heavy that you're thinking about ending it, that is not grief anymore, and the 5 a day is not enough. Call someone. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is 3 numbers, 988, and they will pick up. Tell your doctor, tell your son, tell the neighbor. You are not weak for saying it out loud. You are a man who lost the most important person in his life, and your mind is trying to follow her. And there are people whose whole job is to catch you before it does. Let them. Here's the thing I didn't know until I lived through it. The thing I keep turning over in my mind a year later. It is not the grief that kills men. Grief is survivable. Always has been, always will be. What kills men is that the grief puts them in a fog, and in the fog, 3 things move in. A scammer who sees a lonely man with a paid-off house, a system that makes money when he sells too soon or declines too fast, and a silence that gets louder every day until it's the only thing he hears. Every man I know who made it through the first year did one thing and one thing only. He did not face it alone. Not because he was brave, because he was stubborn enough or lucky enough or scared enough to keep one other person in the room. That's it. That's the whole survival guide in one line. Do not face the first year alone. I still set one plate at supper. I still say grace to an empty chair. I don't suppose that'll ever change. But I'm sitting here talking to you and Walt isn't. And the difference between us is 5 stupid, simple things I did every day that cost me nothing and kept me on this side of the dirt. 1 real meal, 1 human, 1 task, 1 trip outside, 1 appointment. 5 things a day, and you get to live again. Now let me tell you what to do this week. If you just lost your wife, do not sell the house for at least 6 months. And talk to a CPA about the 2-year capital gains window before you do anything. Do not answer calls from numbers you don't know, and do not respond to new people online, not for a year. Cook 1 real meal today, even if it's just eggs. Call 1 person, even if you don't feel like it. Go outside, even if it's just the porch. And make the doctor's appointment she would have made for you. That's Monday handled. Do it again Tuesday. Keep doing it. If you know a man who just lost his wife, don't ask if he needs anything. He'll say no. Just show up, bring food, sit with him, come back next week. The showing up is the thing. Nobody ever got through the first year because somebody said, call me if you need me. They got through because somebody showed up without being asked. Now 2 things, and I want to hear from you on both. Tell me in the comments, what is the one thing that got you through or got someone you love through after losing a spouse? I read every one of these. And second, if your wife is still living, tell me, what is the one thing she does for you that you'd be lost without? Write it down, then go tell her. Don't wait for a reason. That clock in the kitchen is still ticking. The chair is still empty. But I'm still here, and if you're watching this, you can be too. The first year is the dangerous one. Get through it.